Now, I mentioned democracy. Now, in English, an Englishman will say democracy. But if the African man wants to say it in broken, he will say democracy. You see now. I now thought of the word. I said crazy. That's now I saw craziness. I said I could now see let my people see that democracy really is not that word, that it's really madness, So I said, now I started to sing. I said, I start to think of this word democracy. Democracy. Crazy demo. Demonstration of grace. Crazy demonstration. Poor man they cry. Rich man they mess. Democracy. Crazy demo. Demonstration of grace.
The 20th century's most successful political idea is under attack. Democracy is facing a crisis of confidence.
Yes, the continent is engulfed with some madness. The entire continent is engulfed with some madness. And that madness case study is Ghana. So I'm starting from Ghana. What is this madness called? The madness is called Kebi Mamin Kebi. Kebi Mamin Kebi. It's a popular saying in Ghana. It's easy for people to tell you Kebi Mamin Kebi. Especially when they're doing something wrong, that they know that they're doing something wrong. They get caught in the act, and then you want to talk about it. The first defensive mechanism they go with is Kebi Mamin Kebi. So that is what I want to talk about today. But that Kebi Mamin Kebi, just for the purposes of all our listeners around the world, it is called democracy. Democracy. That is the meaning of democracy. So, the definition of democracy, I don't know. This is what I know in Ghana. I want everybody to spend less than a minute and do a little video. Define democracy and send it to me. Tell me if you think democracy is working or not on the continent Africa. That is my story to you. I want every listener to do that and then send it to me. I think democracy is not working in Africa. I think a lot of Africans know about it. Some politicians know about it. Some educationists know about it. Some professors know about it. Average men on the street can tell something is not working well. And that is what I want us to discuss. You might have a different viewpoint, but this is my viewpoint. I might be wrong in some way, I might be perfect in some way, or I might be saying the right thing. But it's a big classroom of learning. So you go to the comment section and tell me what you think. Democracy is too expensive for Africans to practice. That is the first one I want to start with. Democracy is too expensive for Africans to use. We are one of the continents in the world that spends so much money on election. Just electing people into governance, it costs the state so much. Do your mathematics, go to Google, and then find out how much money does Ghana spend when they are doing election. The amount of money that is there to spend on campaign alone as a third world country, so being called, is enough. It's enough to create the needed factories and jobs that our youth are looking out for. So democracy is too expensive for us to practice. The system of the governance we use to select people to actually go and represent the voice of the voiceless feels like they don't go and represent the voice of the voiceless. They represent the voice of the big man himself, the voice of the politician. That is how democracy seems to be working in this part of the world. Maybe it's working indirectly like that in the other part of the world. But yes, this is a copycat system. This is a system they sold to us, and we've bought it. And in using it, this is where we are. So I am still of a strong viewpoint that democracy needs to be revisited. A system of governance that we have bought into looks to be a system after independence till now. We are struggling with it big time. I think the beauty of it for most politicians in Africa is to be able to dress up nicely in their suits, walk to places where they are supposed to be, and they make the announcement that they come from a very democratic country. And they tap their shoulders and they tell them that, thank you, yes, we know that. And that is what they are interested in, is to just to show to the outside world that we are in a democratic governance in this part of our world. But do we have that ripple effect, that positive ripple effect that that person talks about? When they say we come from a very democratic country, the English looks, sounds so beautiful and everything is in place. But when you look in practice, the reality on the ground with democracy is failing big time. It has failed and it's not doing anything for us. It's producing a lot of corrupt people every day. Accountability in democracy is a problem. Accountability in democracy is a problem. And the reason why it's a problem is because democracy has been hijacked by multinational companies, either domestically or on the international level. Democracy has been hijacked. And because the system of governance has been hijacked, it is very hard for people to account for it. Because it's friends to friends government. The judge knows the lawyer knows da-di-da-di-da. But who has the biggest money, pay his way out. If you have the biggest money, you pay your way out. And that is the democracy in Africa. That is the democracy in Ghana. So 99% of Ghanaians are so proud that they are practicing democracy. But the same 99% of Ghanaians are very disappointed that our state is failing. Our people are failing. We don't know what we are doing. Have you been observing for the last 10 to 15 years now that the political landscape of the world is changing? But it's more clearer in these times that the political landscape is changing. The power shift, the economic power shift, everything is changing. So you ever hear that kingdoms rise and kingdoms fall? Kingdoms rise and kingdoms fall. Something you read in the history book every time. But I think that you are going to live to see it happening. That some kingdoms are going to fall. They already started falling. But I want to ask yourself, the African kingdom that you know up to now, where is your position? Have you fallen already, or you are going down deep sea, or you are rising, or what is your stand? The political landscape shifts with all the economic shifts. 54 African countries, I think it's about time that the head of states sit down and have a think about how Africa can position itself with a new world order. Africa needs to sit down and have a chit chat, brother to brother, sister to sister. Break the boundaries in your head and talk to the next neighbor and ask yourself, there is a new paradigm happening. Where are we positioning ourselves? Because this is the time that if we find where we position ourselves, it will determine the future of our continent. The analysis I'm doing is analysis for Mother Ghana. But I think that when you throw the lights on the continent, these stories are the same story, probably in Togo, probably in Congo, probably in Gabon, probably in Cameroon, Mali. The list goes on. The landscape shift is a shift that is also calling the minds of Africans to also wake up. There is this saying that goes that Africa is a sleeping giant continent. It's a sleeping giant continent. When it wakes up, everybody will go to sleep. But when are we going to wake up? Maybe never. Maybe we will be sleeping always. Democracy has failed Africans, and Africans need to get together to redefine the new way forward. People are talking about constitution change. Constitution here, constitution there, constitution there. I am calling for the entire political system overhauling. The overhauling of the political system itself. We can't thrive on something that has been sold to us. We can't thrive on something that we keep copycatting. It is either we undercopy or overcopy. But then, this continent had a very beautiful system of governance. A governance system that we only read about it in the books. Some of us never really saw it. We saw the latter part of it, where kings and queens were ruling. Today, as we struggle with our democracy, if you make mention of a king or a queen, you have a problem. A lot of people will automatically say, oh, don't go there. They are so corrupt more than anybody. And it feels like kings and queens, chiefs, don't have any power anymore.